As the sun sets over the Topkapi Palace, the Ottoman harem comes alive with whispers, secrets, and unseen rivalries. Can you imagine a place where every shadow hides a story, every silence holds a secret? The Ottoman harem was more than a residence for the Sultan's family, it was a world of ambition, beauty, and mystery. At night, when the palace grew quiet, the harem buzzed with hidden rituals, spiritual practices, and power struggles. Women, from concubines to the Sultan's mother, navigated a delicate dance of influence and survival. What secrets unfolded under the cover of darkness? Let's step into this enigmatic world. As twilight enveloped the harem, the women began their nightly preparations, a blend of physical and spiritual rituals. The harem was a meticulously organized space, housing the Sultan's mother, Valide Sultan, wives, concubines, and attendants, all under strict hierarchy. Evening routines were both practical and symbolic, preparing the women for the possibility of catching the Sultan's attention. Baths were central to these rituals. Women soaked in marble hammams, using rosewater and herbal oils to soften their skin. These baths were not just about cleanliness but also about spiritual purification, rooted in Islamic traditions of ablution. Some women recited prayers or whispered intentions, believing these acts could bring favor or protection. Attendants braided hair with jasmine-scented oils or applied kohl to enhance their eyes, a practice steeped in both beauty and cultural tradition. These rituals weren't merely cosmetic. They were a quiet assertion of presence in a competitive world. Each woman knew that a single glance from the Sultan could elevate her status, or that a rival's charm could dim her prospects. The air was thick with anticipation as the harem prepared for the night's uncertainties. The harem was a battlefield of ambition, where influence was currency and survival demanded strategy. At night, when the palace's grandeur faded into candlelit corridors, rivalries intensified. The Valide Sultan held supreme authority, but concubines and favorites vied for the Sultan's affection, knowing it could secure their future or their children's. Whispers of intrigue filled the air. A well-placed rumor could tarnish a rival's reputation, while a discreet gift to an attendant might ensure loyalty. Some women cultivated alliances with eunuchs, who controlled access to the Sultan and carried messages. These power plays were subtle but relentless, as every woman sought to secure her place in the hierarchy. Historical accounts suggest that some rivalries turned darker. Accusations of disloyalty or disobedience could lead to exile or worse, though evidence of such extreme outcomes is often anecdotal. The stakes were high, a favorite could rise to become a Hasiki, chief consort, while a misstep could mean obscurity. Nighttime was when strategies were planned, alliances forged, and quiet betrayals set in motion, all under the watchful eyes of the harem's guardians. The harem was a deeply spiritual place, where faith and mysticism intertwined. At night, some women turned to rituals that blended Islamic practices with folk traditions. These were not acts of defiance but personal expressions of hope and protection in a high-stakes environment. Women often recited prayers from the Quran, seeking divine guidance or favor. Some turned to tasbih, prayer beads, to focus their intentions, asking for health, fertility, or the Sultan's affection. Others engaged in folk practices, like writing protective verses on small amulets, believed to ward off envy or harm. These talismans, often inscribed with Arabic calligraphy, were tucked under pillows or worn discreetly. Dreams held special significance. Some women believed that reciting specific prayers before sleep could bring visions of the future or messages from the divine. These practices, rooted in cultural traditions, added a layer of mysticism to the harem's nights. While some rituals were private, others were shared, creating bonds among women who trusted each other with their hopes and fears. In a world of uncertainty, these spiritual acts offered solace and a sense of control. Beauty in the harem was both a tool and an art form, honed through generations of tradition. At night, women prepared meticulously, knowing that appearance could influence their fate. Their beauty routines were elaborate, drawing on natural ingredients and time-honored techniques. Henna was used to adorn hands and feet, its intricate patterns symbolizing elegance and celebration. Women applied homemade masks of honey, yogurt, or crushed pearls to brighten their skin. Scent was equally important. Perfumes made from amber, musk, or rose were dabbed on pulse points to create an alluring aura. These practices were not just about aesthetics but about crafting an identity that stood out. Beyond physical beauty, charm was a skill. Some women were trained in poetry, music, or conversation, using these talents to captivate the sultan or win allies. A well-timed story or a delicate laugh could leave a lasting impression. These moments of connection were carefully calculated, as emotional bonds could elevate a woman's status. In the harem, beauty was never just skin-deep, it was a language of power, spoken fluently by those who understood its nuances. While the palace slept, the harem remained awake with anticipation. Some women stayed up, hoping for a summons to the sultan's chambers, a call that could change their lives. This waiting was a mix of hope and anxiety, as the sultan's favor was unpredictable. Eunuchs, the harem's guardians, patrolled the corridors, ensuring order but also carrying messages that could shift alliances. For those not summoned, the night was a time for reflection or strategy. Some wrote letters to family, though these were closely monitored. Others gathered in small groups, sharing stories or planning their next move. The harem's silence was deceptive, beneath it lay a current of ambition and vigilance. Every creak of a door or flicker of a lamp could signal opportunity or danger, making sleep a luxury few could afford. As dawn breaks over the Topkapi Palace, the harem's secrets retreat into the shadows, waiting for the next night to unfold. The Ottoman harem was a world where beauty, faith, and ambition collided under the cover of darkness. Its nights were alive with rituals, rivalries, and whispered dreams, each woman carving her path in a delicate balance of power. The harem's mysteries endure, not just in history books but in the stories we imagine, of women who shaped empires from behind closed doors. Subscribe to the channel for more, hit the bell to be the first to know, and what do you think about the life of Ottoman harem women?